Have you ever found yourself wondering if you are really in the right relationship for you? Is that doubt you hide in the back of your mind trying to tell you something? Often, we get so involved with someone that we start to ignore small signs, those red flags that appear and that, deep down, you cannot ignore forever. Friend, this text is exactly what you need to see now. And here's the best part. Not only will it help you understand what is going on in your relationship, but it will also give you clarity to make the right choices, those that will lead you to a happier, lighter, and more self-loving life. Because, in the end, that's what it is, isn't it? You deserve to be in a relationship that makes you flourish, not one that makes you question your worth. So hold on tight, because this video will open your eyes in a way that you may not expect. Let's talk about those behaviors that sometimes we normalize, but that in the bottom are destroying your peace of mind. Let's unveil the signs that show whether you are with the right person or not. And who knows, this is the time to take that step you are afraid to take, but can completely transform your life. You will want to watch until the last minute. You will recognize yourself in various situations, and I bet you will send this to your friends as soon as you finish watching, because they also deserve to know the truth. The power is in your hands, and this video will be the key you didn't even know you needed. Get ready, because you're about to discover things that will change the game. Let's go. 1. Your relationship is just about romantic attraction. Think with me. At first, everything seems to be passion at the surface of your skin, that cold in the stomach, looks that meet as if they were in a romantic movie, and the world seems to be only yours. But over time, this initial flame begins to cool, and if the only thing holding the relationship was this romantic attraction, things can start to fall apart quickly. Look, I'm not saying that romance is not important, it is, and very much. But the question is that enough? Now, think of a relationship that goes beyond romantic attraction. When, in addition to chemistry, you have a deep friendship, silly laughs at unexpected moments, conversations that go into the early hours about life, the universe, or even about anything in particular. When you feel understood, supported, and know that you can count on the other in difficult times. That is the solid foundation that any relationship needs to have. Because when romance falters, and yes, it does sometimes, it's that bond that will keep you together. You need to have common interests, goals that go hand in hand, experiences that connect you, shared stories that make sense for both of you. Without it, it's like building a house in quicksand. At the first storm, everything can fall apart. 2. You don't like their friends. You don't like his friends, right? And this seems to weigh more than you would like to admit, because, let's be honest, someone's friends are almost a mirror of the person's soul. They are those figures who know the version of it before you, those who understand internal jokes and have stories that you do not even imagine. So when you don't get along with them, or even have an active aversion, it already lights a red light. And if that's not resonating now, you can bet it will appear somewhere along the way. What you may not have stopped to think is that when you don't like his friends, you're in a way saying you don't like parts of him either, because who we choose to be on our side says a lot about who we are. And if the values, the way you are, or even the choices of these friends bother you, this may be pointing to a much greater disconnect than it seems. Let's imagine a scenario here. You are at a barbecue, everyone laughing and having fun, but you are there, in the corner, feeling out of place, because you can't stand the kind of conversation, or maybe find their jokes childish, or, worse, feel that they have nothing to do with their own values. This is not just a momentary discomfort, it's the kind of thing that will repeat itself and create a barrier. Now, if you can't understand what he sees in these people, how will you understand the parts of him that connect to them? What if he values these friendships and you reject them? What does that say about the future of you two together? Perhaps the issue is not just his friends, but a greater incompatibility, a difference in values that will become difficult to ignore over time. 3. You spend too much time together. Being constantly with your partner, stuck all the time as if you were one person, may even seem like a dream of many people at first, but believe me, this is the kind of thing that over time will undermine both of your individuality and create a suffocating relationship, where dependence on the other is no longer a demonstration of love, but rather a burden that you both carry, without realizing how unhealthy this can become. Everyone needs a space to breathe, to be who you are outside of the relationship, to continue discovering tastes, passions, and connect with other people, because it is this plurality of interactions and experiences that enriches each one's life. When everything revolves around the partner, the world begins to get small, conversations begin to repeat themselves, and the relationship, which was once light, can start to be overwhelmed by this constant presence of each other. Think with me, you two started to fall in love because you were different people, with different lives, dreams, hobbies, friends, and all this was part of what attracted you. Now, imagine losing this diversity, leaving aside what made you, you. Suddenly, all the moments are shared and there is nothing left for you alone, no space where you can be who you are without needing each other. This is not healthy. At first it may seem romantic, but over time, this constant fusion can create a dependency that turns the relationship into an emotional prison, where you feel you can no longer do anything without the other, and the other can't live without you either. Keeping your balance, having time for yourself, hanging out with your own friends, investing in your own hobbies, that's what keeps the relationship alive and healthy. A strong relationship is one where two whole people come together, not where two halves merge and lose their individuality in the process. 5. You feel controlled. This is the kind of thing that takes the air slowly, and you may not have noticed when it started. At first, it may seem harmless, I don't like it when you go out with these friends, or, I think you should wear this, it will be better. And then you give in, think it's just a matter of pleasing, of avoiding conflict. Only that, suddenly, you begin to realize that your opinions are being left aside, that the important decisions, or even the small ones, are being made without you, as if your voice does not matter as much as hers. This goes beyond a disagreement here and there, it is as if your autonomy was slowly being eroded, and you are there, half knowing what to do, trying to balance between not creating more friction and at the same time feeling increasingly choked. And that is not normal. Every healthy relationship needs mutual respect, and respect is just that, listening to the other, considering what he thinks, what he wants, and not making unilateral decisions as if the other person was an accessory in your life, and not someone with whom you are sharing everything. If your opinions are being disregarded, or worse, if decisions are being imposed without even asking you, this is a clear sign that something is profoundly wrong. Relationship is not a one-way street, and definitely not a space where one person controls the other. Of course, it is normal that there are times when one gives in, when one makes concessions, but when this becomes the rule, and you start to realize that you are living according to the expectations of someone else, this is not love, it is control. And living in this kind of relationship is like being trapped in an invisible cage, where you feel smaller and smaller until the person you were at the beginning of the relationship begins to disappear. Don't let that happen. Respect and autonomy are essential, and if you don't have them, it's time to reassess what is really going on. 6. You can't be yourself. That's a hell of a warning sign, and you know it deep down. You know that thing, at the beginning, want to impress, show your best version, look the coolest, most interesting. That's part of the game, but it can't stay like this forever. If after a while you still feel that you need to keep this mask, this perfect image, it is as if you are living a character and, let's face it, no one can sustain it for long without feeling that you are lost in the process. Real relationship is when you can come all messy, in sweatshirt, talking about your insecurities or those oddities that only you understand, and the other not only accepts, as he finds grace, or at least respects. But if you feel like you always have to stay on the jump, never being able to relax and show who you really are, that's a serious problem. Think with me, living a relationship where you have to walk on your toes all the time is exhausting. What was to be a space of welcome and security becomes a source of anxiety. You start to wonder what you can or cannot talk about, if what you are going to do or say will displease, and this is undermining your sense of authenticity. The worst? The more you hide who you really are, the more you distance yourself and the more you start to question whether this person that the other likes is actually you. Because, in the end, if you are always keeping an idealized image, how do you know whether the other loves the real you or just the version that you created to please? And you know what is crazy? It is that sometimes it is not the other who is asking for it directly, it is the pressure you put on yourself to be something you think you need to be. But if at no time do you feel free to be authentic, to show yourself vulnerable, imperfect, strange, all that makes you who you are, then the relationship is not giving you what it should. You need to ask yourself, how long will you keep this theater? Because, at the bottom, a healthy relationship is one in which you feel comfortable being exactly who you are, without filter, without fear, without having to always keep the mask in place. 7. You do not feel accepted. This is one of the heaviest things that can happen in a relationship. When you're with someone, the idea is that they value you, love you for who you really are, with all your flaws, quirks and that complete package that makes you unique. But if instead, what you get is constant criticism, that judgmental look, or, worse, a brazen desire to mold you into something you're not, it will undermine you from the inside out in a way that sometimes you don't even notice on the spot. At first, maybe you even relieve. Oh, she is just wanting my good, you think. But over time, it becomes clear that these criticisms are not about helping you grow, they are about trying to turn you into something that has nothing to do with you, something that fits in the mold that the other wants, and it hurts. Let's talk real. Everyone has things that can be improved, of course, but no one should feel that they need to change the essence of who they are in order to be accepted into a relationship. When the criticism starts to go too deep, when it stops being about practical things and start attacking who you are, it eats away your self-esteem, your confidence. You start to question whether it was ever good enough, or if this person really likes you or just a corrected version of you. And that's suffocating. You know, that feeling of always walking in a minefield, taking care of what you say, what you do, trying to guess what will be criticized next. This is not healthy, and it is certainly not love. True love is one where you are accepted completely, with all its imperfections, mistakes, baggage. No one should feel like a project to be fixed. If you need to make fundamental changes in who you are to please the other, then the relationship is unbalanced and, in the long run, this is unsustainable. The true value of a relationship is to feel comfortable in your own skin, knowing that yes, you can evolve, you can grow, but always being who you are. If there is no acceptance, there is no room for genuine love to flourish. 8. You fight all the time. Do you fight all the time? Okay, everyone knows that fights happen, it's part of life, of living together, and they even say that a disagreement from time to time spice up the relationship. But when the discussions become the norm and not the exception, then the business is starting to sink. You may have noticed that it tires in a way that few things tire. Every time a discussion explodes, you come out of it exhausted, drained, as if all the energy that could be used for good things, like building something together, dreaming, planning the future, was being sucked into fights that often do not even solve anything in the end. At first, you may. What should be a partnership based on transparency becomes an undercover battlefield, where the aggressiveness is never clear, but always there, ready to emerge in a subtle and exhausting way. 12. The moment is not right. The time is not right. Man, this is one of the hardest things to accept, because when you really like someone, you want to believe that the feeling is strong enough to overcome any obstacle. But, unfortunately, life doesn't work that way. Sometimes, as much as you want to be together, the context in which you are simply does not cooperate. It is as if the universe was saying to you, not now. And this hurts, because the heart does not care about right or wrong time, it only feels. But the truth is that when you are in different stages of life, or with completely incompatible goals, it becomes very difficult, if not impossible, to make the relationship work long term. And it's no one's fault, it's just life happening unexpectedly, as it always does. Think with me, one of you is focused on career, traveling the world, exploring new opportunities, while the other is in a moment of wanting stability, building a life together, maybe even a family. How to balance these two views? No matter how much you like each other, if the paths are leading in opposite directions, there will come a time when it will weigh. Because, deep down, it's not just about feeling, it's about timing. And when timing is misaligned, you end up fighting against the current, trying to make something work that, in the bottom, does not have the ideal conditions to flourish. And you know what is more frustrating? It's often not a matter of lack of love. You may love each other to hell, but if the moment of life of each is pulling in different directions, that love may not be enough to hold the ends. You begin to feel the weight of the choices that need to be made, and none of them seems easy. Do you give up your dreams for this person? Or does she give up hers for you? And if no one gives in, what happens? The relationship is stuck, with no room to grow. The most cruel thing about all this is that sometimes the only solution is to let go, with the hope that, who knows, at another time, in another phase of life, things finally align. But until then, it is to accept that love is not always enough when time is not in favor. So, friend, now that you have come here, tell me, how many times have you seen yourself in situations we just talked about? How many signs did you miss, thinking it was normal? The truth is that you deserve much more than a relationship that wears you down, that makes you question who you are. And now that you have this clarity, the next step is in your hands. If this content made sense to you, if it helped you see what was hidden or gave you the strength to make a decision, share with your friends. We know that everyone has a friend who needs to hear this right now, and you can be the one to give that little push. Click on share, send in groups, in direct, and we will spread this message, because all of us deserve to live in relationships that value us and make us grow. And if you want more tips, insights, and content, subscribe to the channel, leave your like and activate the bell so you don't miss anything. You are in control of your life, and I am here to help you on this journey.